And we are back, guys. Monaco Grand Prix. Okay, a bit of a boring Grand Prix, let's be honest. Let's cut the crap, okay? However, this is what I love about Formula 1 and motor racing. The behind-the-scenes stuff. For me, it's not about the race itself. It's not about the race itself. This is about what's going on in the drivers' heads and what's going on in the background. And today, we're going to get into a lot of stuff to talk about. So, look, before we get into it, right? Okay, yeah, it was a bit of a dull race. Now, look, obviously we want a good race too. You know what I mean? Of course we all do. But that can be Monaco. And before we get into the real nitty-gritty now, this is the whole point, guys, about tracks like Monaco, right? When I used to race, it was the same thing. You'd have very tight tracks, very slow, twisty, tight tracks, where you have to make sure that you are on the front goddamn row. I mean, even in the race today we saw Piastri, he's on the front row. But yet, Charles Leclerc, on pole position, he gets a great start. And even Piastri got a great start. And yet, he still couldn't make up the ground. Now, of course, look, obviously, Leclerc got a great start too, but you know what I mean, guys? Even, like, you're still restricted at off-pole, second on the grid, because all it takes is the guy in pole position, like Charles Leclerc today, all it takes for him is to just stay where he is, just get a good start. Even if he got, like, a average to good start, he still has a really good chance of keeping his position in first position going into the turn one. So again, it's just so super important. I would say 90% of all Monaco Grand Prix are tight, twisty tracks like Monaco. 90% of your work is done in qualifying. Now, some people would argue, well, we'd say 50-50. Well, no, I would go 90%. Like, you have to have that attitude. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you have to go into qualifying with the mentality of, it's everything or I die. It's as simple as that. Because you have to, it's high stakes. You saw the way the drivers, it's very hard to overtake around Monaco. Very hard. And even going into the chicane, coming out of the tunnel, all you got to do is stay in the middle of the track. That's all you got to do. Or even, okay, maybe you get a black and white flag, like a warning flag as in dangerous driving. Even at that, you don't even have to stay in the middle of the track. You can just stay on the inside of the track, hold your position, and off you go. So it is, guys. It's but look, you know, at the same time, Monaco, great track. Fantastic track. And I think we all like to watch it anyway, don't we? I hope we do anyway. So let's get into it, guys. So let's look at the qualifying first. Now, qualifying, there was some interesting moments, and especially when it comes to the FIA, guys, I mean, they're just making so much hard work for themselves. And what do I mean? Well, Albon, they're saying that Alex Albon held up Carlos Sainz. Now, guys, if you saw it, you probably know the incident I mean. They're going through turn 2, the long left-hander. I can't remember the name now off the top of my head, sorry. The Rascasse, I think. And they're going through Rascasse, the left-hander. And Alex Albon is slow. Okay? He's not doing a huge move. Carlos Sainz comes up the inside, or comes up around the outside, overtakes him, job done. Now, the problem was that when Carlos Sainz was committed going into that corner, he got held up. He got slowed down a little bit by Alex Albon. Now, look, of course, yes, it's enough to affect your lap, the whole thing. But Alex Albon, in fairness to the guy, he was staying over on the left-hand side. He didn't block him. I'm sorry, but he did not block the guy. And the FIA then, you know, are like, oh, it was a block, and crazy, guys, crazy. You know, I mean, I've had this conversation before already where you see the likes of, you get the likes of the FIA when they go over the white line. Like, I believe that the FIA should just let that open. In other words, when you see over the track limitations where their whole car goes right over the white line and into that extra bit of track. Now, technically it can give you an advantage because you're gaining the speed and you can carry more speed through a corner. And if you're using that extra bit of tarmac, you can gain, let's say, an extra 1 mile an hour. Now, a mile an hour mightn't seem a lot, but it's everything. It can mean huge difference between winning and losing here. Or even just 1, 2 or 3 positions, maybe even 1 position, but you can gain an advantage. But the thing is, if you open it up to all drivers, then there's no problem. No one gets an unfair advantage, a fair advantage, this and that. No one gains any advantages here. So I just don't understand why they're making so much hard work. And like, do you realize how much hard work it is to be watching every single qualifying lap, especially in qualifying, guys, to be watching every single corner of every single driver when they're on a hot lap? So much work. I just don't get why they're doing this. And to be fair to Alex Albon, coming back to him, he did not block him. For God's sake, guys. I really do wonder about the FIA sometimes. I genuinely do. Now, then we go on to where if I was watching on Sky Sports, guys, and if you're watching it on Sky, there's the girl Naomi Chef, I think her name is Naomi Sheaf. So she was a Formula E driver, as far as I remember, and she's obviously commentating now in Formula 1. And she was talking about the barriers, and I want to give you the insight of drivers now here. She was saying that Charles Leclerc is very confident at the moment, and he's got the confidence to drive around Monaco with those barriers. Now, what do we mean? In other words, it can be dicey. It can be a close call when you get too close to those barriers. And can it give you confidence? Can it take away your confidence? It can do both, guys. Now, she was saying, oh, well, you know, Charles can't be afraid of those barriers, and sometimes he does get afraid. Now, this is in qualifying, all right? I don't agree with her here. Really, I know the inside of a driver's head, and I know a lot of drivers will break down to this. There's some guys that love the danger, the fact that, oh, people can lose confidence and you're on the edge. So you can get an adrenaline rush, confidence adrenaline rush, knowing that there's the danger with the barriers. Or it can go the other way, and you could be scared out of your mind when it comes to the barriers, right? You might have had a couple of crashes now in the last couple of races, or things are just not going well for you. So your confidence is not great at the moment. It's not soaring through the roof. But that can get a driver focused as well. Like, that fear is a great, powerful tool. And if you've got that fear, you can really focus in. So it'll help you actually going around a track like Monaco. So I do disagree with you there. So you can have that fear, guys, but it can really focus your skills and focus your driving out there. So I wouldn't pay attention to that. Now, Perez. Let's go talking about Sergio Perez. Good Lord, guys. In 18th position. 18th position. Are you kidding me? Like, I know Verstappen is getting the attention. Perez is not getting the attention that Verstappen is getting. But to have him down in 18th position? Now, he struggled with the car all weekend. This track is clearly, and we'll get on to Verstappen in a moment too, that car is just struggling, guys, around that track. And I think it is because it's a bumpy track. Now, Verstappen didn't struggle as much, but again, that's because that guy's getting the attention from the team. In other words, he's got the better car. I'm sorry, but he does. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. And by the way, I know I sound like a broken record with this one. I'm a Verstappen fan, and I'm standing up for Perez here. I'm just being honest. I'm being fair. I think, guys, if you know me, if you listened to my podcast before, you know that I'm fair. I'll call out somebody on things or not. But at the moment, right now, they're really doing a job on Perez, man. I mean, to be down in 18th, I mean, your race is over. Like obviously, you don't give up, and you go and you fight. But you're not going to feel very confident going into the race here at 18th position, because it's just carnage. It's traffic jam around Monaco when you're down in 18th position. I mean, it's just a nightmare scenario. So I don't know where he's going to go, Perez here. I really don't know where he's going to go. They're just doing their usual bang-up job, Red Bull, slowing him down whenever they want. He's getting too close to their golden boy. I hope it does turn around for him eventually. I'm praying to God for him. I'm praying to God. And guys, we need to have a shout out to Ayrton Senna. This guy, after all these years, this is how good this guy was, ladies and gentlemen. The cars have come on a long way now, technology-wise, whereas back in Senna's day, it was a H-box, gearbox, manual gearbox. And you know something? He still has the record around Monaco. The king of Monaco. No one has beaten him yet. It just goes to show how unbelievable Ayrton Senna was. After all these years, no one has beaten him with his record around 6 wins, 5 pole positions, and 6 wins around Monaco. Truly, truly amazing. So guys, you should definitely check out Ayrton Senna lap on Ayrton Senna lap Monaco. Check out his qualifying lap where he did, and it was straight from God. Unbelievable. Okay, now I want to talk about qualifying 2. Now, here's where there was a block. Now, we just spoke about Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz, their incident. I certainly do not believe it was a block. Alex Albon did nothing wrong here. Okay, now maybe you could argue that he was on the racing line, but he wasn't going that fast. And look, Jesus, Carlos Sainz wasn't in any danger here. I really don't think that. Now, this one, Hülkenberg and Ocon, was a block. Okay? I honestly don't think Hülkenberg did this on purpose. I think, again, it was kind of like an Alex Albon scenario where he slowed down. Now, look, like I said, you could argue that about Albon. Albon could have got off the racing line, but I just don't think the guys knew that a car was coming, or the engineer should have told him, hey, easy, watch it, get off the racing line. Now, you could say, look, well, they don't need them to be telling them. Yes, but I just don't think Alex Albon was going that slow, and I don't think Hülkenberg was going that slow. Hülkenberg did slow down a little bit more, but Hülkenberg's not a dirty driver. He's just not, and in fairness, Alex Albon isn't either. So, look, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I really don't think I am, guys. I wouldn't have given any block for Albon. Hülkenberg definitely did block Ocon, and a penalty, he would have deserved a penalty, yes. But it certainly wasn't, I'm going to hold this guy up now. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But if there was a block, it was definitely, like, if you're going to compare Albon and Carlos Sainz versus the Hülkenberg and Ocon incident, if you compare those two, out of those two, Hülkenberg and Ocon was a block comparing to the other one. So, qualifying 3, Verstappen hits the wall. Oof, just a touch, wasn't it? Looked like it was. Just a touch. But would it have affected his lap? A little bit, I think. Even if it didn't affect the actual speed, the chances are he probably he wouldn't have been phased, but it would just be a moment like, oh shit, you know, and he'd have to correct it a little bit, so he could have just lost that just a touch, maybe a half a tenth overall. Now, let's talk about Verstappen and before we go on the rest of the qualifying. Verstappen and Red Bull and Perez and Red Bull. What happened with their car this weekend? Now, guys, I don't think it's anything to worry about, because to me what it looks like is that the Red Bull car in general has great balance overall. Now, we've spoken about this before. Now, when I say balance, you want your car to perform well at slow speed tracks, mid speed and high speed tracks. That's very, very important. There's no point of going to Monaco, a slow speed track, really kicking everybody's ass, and then you go to Spa or another high-speed track like Suzuka, Japan, and then it's a high-speed track and you're nowhere. It's no point. 0 point. So you can't get carried away with these things, and you gotta make sure that you got a good, well-balanced car. Now, overall Red Bull car is a very well balanced car. Now, I think though, it's like their kryptonite almost. I think they go to a track like Singapore and Monaco, and what I'm seeing from the car is that they struggle on really bumpy tracks. Now, Monaco is quite bumpy in certain areas, and you've got off-camber areas too, and I think that's where they struggle. I mean, we saw that last year, guys, Red Bull with Singapore. They really did struggle a lot. They were nowhere. I think, was it Verstappen? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Verstappen was, 10th or 12th or something? He was nowhere at the weekend. Now, then we'll go to the next round. I think it's Canada, isn't it? Canada will go to that next round, and they'll be right on the pace. That's what I genuinely believe. So I don't think they've actually lost pace here, guys. I just think they just have one of that chink in the armor, call it, when it comes to a certain type of track. And for some reason, that Red Bull car really struggles over bumps. It's mad, isn't it? And I think, obviously we saw Perez qualify in 18th. And yeah, I just think it's their kryptonite. Can they get over this? Well, if anybody can, Adrian Newey can. That's for sure. That's for goddamn sure. But time will tell. Time will tell. But if you are a Red Bull fan, guys, I certainly wouldn't worry about Red Bull that they've lost the momentum now. It's over. It's done. They're screwed. It's over. Done. No, I wouldn't go that far, guys, at all. So I wouldn't be pressing the panic button just yet. Now, another one actually, which is quite a qualifying tactic, guys. And in fairness, I've been giving Williams a bit of a hard time recently, as we all know. However, I'll give them this. Did you notice when they were out in qualifying, and it was qualifying 3, and they sent Albon out with 5 or either 6 minutes to go? Now, people are probably wondering, well, hang on, why do they do that? I mean, isn't it better that they wait until the end where there's more grip, everybody's out at the same time, or, peak track temperature, etc.? Not that everybody's out at the same time, sorry, but when everybody's out at the same time. Why did they do this? Well, I'll tell you exactly why they did this. Number one, they knew they weren't going to qualify it on pole. They knew this. So they actually accepted defeat in many ways. And what they wanted to do, they were actually hoping for a bit of a Hail Mary here. They were hoping to go a little bit faster than their previous lap, get a couple of more places up the grid, and hoping at the same time that there'd be a red flag or a yellow even better, a yellow flag to come out. So then all the drivers would have to slow down in that last 1.5 minutes to go. So then you see, why then? Because if you're on your last lap in qualifying 3, and if there's 1.5 minutes to go, you're waiting till the last second, right? That's what most of the drivers do. But of course, if a yellow flag comes out, the cars have to slow down. Therefore, what happens? You lose lap time. So it gets affected. So the thing is, they were hoping that would happen. So then in other words, no one goes quicker, but Alex Albon improves slightly better. So it was quite a cute tactic, I have to admit. You're right. They knew, they accepted defeat. They knew they weren't going to put it on pole or even the second row. But look, guys, let's get up as high as we can now in qualifying, and hopefully everybody else has a bad, horrendous experience, like a yellow flag, somebody goes off, oil is on the track, God knows. So, and again, in fairness to them, Monaco is one of those places that anything could happen, especially with those barriers. You make one tiny error and it's off, and it's so tight, that track, that yellow flag's going to come out very, very fast. Very, very fast. So, yeah, so that was qualifying. So a good qualifying, in fairness, by Charles Leclerc, puts it on pole. Piastri second, and Carlos Sainz in third. Now, guys, I really have to say here, I'm really getting optimistic about McLaren here. I think, now, we have to wait, like I was saying, we gotta make sure that they tick all 3 boxes here. They've ticked 2 out of 3. So we're going in the right direction for McLaren, for Norris and Piastri. Now, what do I mean? Like I was speaking about the balance of the car. They've got a good balance now, as we've seen in Italy. That was a medium speed track. Monaco, slow speed track. Tick, tick, right? They were right there. They were on the pace. They, okay, didn't put it on pole, but they were just about to put it on pole. And not just one driver, guys. 2 of the drivers were up there. So that does tell you that it's a good, consistent car for now. It's not just a fluke that Norris won a couple of weeks ago and then he had another second last week. So they're going in the right direction. Now, what's the last challenge, the last hurdle to get over? They need to get to a high-speed track. Now, the next track coming up is Canada. That wouldn't be a high-speed track, not at all. I think really, I mean, if we look at the schedule here, guys, and let's bring up the full schedule, where would we really see it now where they can open up? I mean, we've got Canada next on the 7th to the 9th of June. Then we've got Spain, Austria, Great Britain. Great Britain, guys, would be the one. Silverstone. Silverstone is a high-speed track. If they do well there, game over. I'm very, very confident that that car is an excellent, excellent car because it's balanced at all types of track, which is fantastic. And look, then again, you know, I don't want to be hitting the buzzer here too quick. You know, I don't, but it's going well. It's going well for them. Excuse me. Okay, so guys, lads and ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the race. Okay, like we said, it was a bit of a boring race, but we've spoken about a lot already here, which is great. Good, you know, we're looking at the behind-the-scenes stuff. Okay, the first red flag. Magnussen and Perez. What happened there? Okay, I know exactly what Magnussen was trying to do here. Magnussen was in the car, going up the hill, coming out of turn 1. Obviously, as we've seen, he goes up into the inside, or, well, actually, technically on the outside, but he goes up the inside of Perez here. He holds his nose in position, and Perez obviously comes over a little bit on top of him, just a touch. But again, the corner just sort of closed in on Magnussen too. That was mainly the main problem here, okay? So it wasn't Perez. I'm not blaming Perez, no. Now here's what happened actually, and I know this from racing. Perez didn't fucking see him. Perez is an honest, legit, clean driver. He didn't see him come up, okay? He didn't know he was there. Or Perez would have thought that Magnussen, or whoever it was, would have backed off, okay? On Magnussen's side of the coin here, Magnussen, yes, he held his nose in there. There's people saying it was stupid driving. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it was a little bit, but at the same time, you see, and I see where he was going with this. He genuinely believed, Magnussen, that Perez saw him in front. He thought, okay, Perez knows I'm here. And that's why he stayed exactly where he was, okay? Right or wrong, that's a different story, but that's why he did this, okay? Look, at the end of the day, you've got rear view mirrors in these cars, so that's exactly what Magnussen thought. That's okay now, Perez knows I'm here, grand. Now, an assumption, yeah. And quite honestly, guys, that could happen to a lot of drivers. Including me. It could happen. You just don't know what's going to happen in that quick. And I mean, guys, look, let's be honest. These cars are so quick. Lightning response to these things. You just don't know what's going to happen. Now, chances are, I would say I probably would have backed off. All right. End of the day, look, you're in 18th, 19th. You know, you're nowhere. At least try and get around the first couple of corners anyway. But look, I can't blame Magnussen either, in a way, to a degree. So I just wouldn't go as far as saying it was a stupid move. It was a little bit, not full-blown stupid, all right? But I can see why these mistakes happen, you know? I mean, hey, Jesus, I've made dumb mistakes. Every single driver that I've ever come up against, no matter who it is, has made dumb mistakes every now and then. So was this Magnussen's once a year mistake that was dumb or a little bit dumb? Hopefully it is, and hopefully we won't see any more. So look, at the end of the day, yes, he did have a collision with Perez because he put the car exactly where he shouldn't have put the car. So anyway, that's the Magnussen and Perez. But look, end of the day, it was Magnussen's fault. He should have backed off. But I would put it down to more, it wasn't dirty driving or anything, nothing like that. But that's the way it is. So, I mean, okay, where do we go from here? The race restarts again. There was a lot of talk about cars coming in for another pit stop. I genuinely did believe that they were going to come in for another pit stop because it was a 78 lap race. They restarted the race on lap 3. So you've still got 75 bloody laps to go. That's a long goddamn race now. Okay, the lap time is, what was it, 1 minute 10, so it's not a long lap, but still. And, you know, Monaco can be tough on your tires, tough on the chassis, because it's constant turning all the time. You're going over bumps, and it's this and it's that, and, you know, the curbs are high. So, yeah, I would have thought there would have been a lot more pit stops, I have to say. Even though you did see them go on the hard tires, still, you know, for a 75 lap race, that's a long time to be on hard tires, guys. Long time. But look, they did. Some people did their pit stops. End of the day, it worked out great for Charles Leclerc. He got the win. He didn't have the pace this weekend, though. But guys, this is where he was lucky. And again, we're back to the same old story in Monaco. You've got to stick it on that front goddamn row, guys. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, you're screwed. You're screwed. And Charles Leclerc got in front, held his position, wins the race outright. And you know what? A very well-deserved win for Charles Leclerc. Great down-to-earth guy. Very quick. I do rate the guy. Delighted to see him up at the top. Delighted to see him at the top. So well done to Charles. And hopefully many more victories for Ferrari going forward. For Charles and Carlos. So, guys, before we round it up today, let's have a look at the driver standings. So, Max Verstappen didn't take the win. He's now on 169. Charles is on 138. So, there's only 31 points in the difference, guys, now. You see the way, like, yes, Verstappen's got a win in hand here. And more. More left over in the tin here, but he's got a bit left over. It's going to obviously be an advantage for him. But you know what, guys? All it takes here, and this is what I love about motor racing, all it takes is Max Verstappen to have one more DNF. And he's had a DNF already this year, as we've seen. Okay, he's had a DNF already. So, all it takes is one more. Charles Leclerc to win, and boom, it is game on. And guys, we're so early on in the season, it's not funny. We're so early on. Anything can happen. We're not even at halfway. If this was now 3/4 way into the championship, I would be saying, well, it's looking game over here, guys. It's looking great for Verstappen. But it's not. It's game on. So, guys, okay, let's get back to the points. So, Max is on 169. Charles 138 in second. Lando is making a comeback here, guys, with this pace. He's in third on 113. Carlos in fourth on 108. Sergio in fifth with 107. Oscar in sixth with 71. George in seventh with 54. Lewis in eighth position with 42. Fernando in ninth with 33. Yuki in 10th with 19 points. So, very, very interesting stuff coming our way, guys. Oh, man. And believe you me, the championship has just begun. See you in 2 weeks for Canada, guys.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move. He's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front with fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.